get to Phoenix. Leader Fan Radio Network.
What?
And KFAN.com. 2 minutes, 12 seconds past 3. That's Central Standard Time. We welcome you back. It is the Friday Football Beast edition of the Bumper to Bumper program on a calm before, apparently, the latest Snownami Friday afternoon here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Look who's back across the other side of the glass. Guardsy is in that chair. My name is Dan Barrero, the occasional host of the program, and we will take you all the way till, are we going till 6 tonight or 5:45 again?
6 o'clock.
6 p.m. tonight. Last night was 5:45. Next Monday is 5 o'clock.
There you go.
There's a matinee wild game coming up, too, I think, that's going to have us out early.
You're right.
We're stealing. We're definitely stealing at this point. We are stealing. But not our fault. You can't blame us at all. Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is open, and it is 64686. The State Farm Arena, or Stadium, whatever the hell it's called, is technically in Glendale, Arizona, correct?
Yeah, right by an outlet mall, I think.
Yeah, so but
a little bit out of town.
It's the greater Phoenix, Arizona area.
It is.
That is where the Vikings will play the Los Angeles Rams of Anaheim on Monday night, just past 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. We will, of course, have all of the coverage on that day, starting with the pregame show at 5. And I was listening to the Project today, and he was mentioning that tickets were going to be made available first, like a 2-hour head start, were going to be offered Los Angeles Rams season ticket holders. And as it turns out, I believe Arizona Cardinals season ticket holders. And according to several outlets, I think actually this comes from the National Football League, 52,000 tickets were sold in that window to Rams and Cardinals season ticket holders. That was during the priority window. Now, I don't know what that building holds. Is it 60, 65?
Yeah, probably about that.
In that range.
Yep.
So almost all of them, quite frankly. So we're not naive enough to think, are we, that the arena will be that filled with interested Rams fans and, more importantly, more crucially, Arizona Cardinals fans, are we? We are assuming, what's the percentage of those individuals who took advantage of that head start that are going to turn around and sell their tickets on the secondary market, either to Rams fans or interested, motivated Minnesota Vikings fans?
I'd say
80%?
I was going to say well over 50, yes.
Because otherwise, I mean, I'd hate to think the notion of close to 50,000 Rams and or Cardinals fans at a Rams-Vikings playoff game doesn't sound right to me. Does it to you?
No, not
doesn't
really.
Seem like it's in the spirit of what you're looking for first round of the playoffs.
Right. Now, it might have been closer to 50-50 Vikings and Rams fans if they kept it in L.A.
That's very true. We know that. Yeah.
If they weren't dealing with what they're dealing with, and the game was just at SoFi.
Correct.
The crowd makeup of it is going to be something fascinating.
I agree.
It's not the first time a game has been moved. I don't even know if it's the first time a playoff game has been moved. But this is a different beast than when the Vikings just had to go to Ford Field when the roof collapsed, right? And play the New York Giants. And that, I think, was just Lions fans could just get in. That's right. No big deal. Just roll in. It was a weird vibe.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated to see what Monday night's going to look like.
Could they have done it a different way? In other words, could the National Football League have said, we'll give a head start to, actually, frankly, Rams fans and Vikings fans on buying tickets. I should say, and Vikings season ticket holders who want to make the trip to buy tickets. Why is it like a contractual issue where because it's the home arena for the Cardinals, that you got to give Cardinal season ticket holders a shot at it? Because everybody and their brother knows that it is just a cash grab. You're giving those individuals the opportunity to turn around and make money on a game that isn't supposed to be part of their season ticket package, I don't think.
Yeah, it might be a building rule.
Odd to me.
Yeah, it might be a building rule. But what they also might be doing is guaranteeing that tickets get sold and that tickets get used. Because that's the other part. That's true. Is that
you don't want an empty stadium for a playoff game.
It's just so I mean, just think about even if you are a Rams fan in L.A. with what you're dealing with right now, is it going to be easy for you, whether your house has been affected or not, to just pack up and leave and go to Arizona? I think they probably just wanted to make sure enough people were going to be in the building at some point.
Well, but do you think all those tickets are going to be turned out? Do you expect it'll be a full house?
I don't.
At State Farm.
I don't expect it, but I'm also eyes wide open. Like I said, I don't know what to expect because this is just so rare. I know there's a lot of Minnesotans that live in Arizona this time of year.
Do we have more Minnesotans who live in Arizona or Florida?
It's probably pretty close.
Pretty close. Okay.
I would think. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's a popular place.
For those folks, it is an opportunity.
Definitely.
There's no question about that. And I guess, I don't know. I mean, how much cold water, if you're based here and you got the ways and means to take this trip, how affected are you by what took place last Sunday night in Detroit? Are you still, or is it the old?
I don't think you are.
I think it's more on the basis of, well, I didn't love it, but this is an opportunity that I otherwise would not have had. So what the hell? Let's take a trip to Arizona.
Totally.
Play some golf.
Exactly.
Stare at a couple cacti and go watch some football.
If I didn't have to be in Maryland on Tuesday night, I would have gone. I would have tried to find a way to make it happen.
Is your team ever going to lose again?
Playing pretty well. They're playing pretty well.
It's unstoppable at this point.
It's a good setup.
Didn't they toy with Rutgers?
They toyed with Rutgers on Wednesday.
Wasn't even close.
Yes, they toyed with Rutgers.
Although they are missing their best player, but then we were missing our best player, and then our other best player has still been injured. He's been out for a while.
Someone who's been playing as well as anybody, their freshman, was also out.
Wow.
So, but anyway.
But I digress.
Yeah, so they're doing well, and you know me, I'm creative about how I can get places, and I don't mind a red-eye flight if I need to, but I'm thinking, man.
Yeah.
2-hour show on Monday. I don't feel too bad about missing that. I'll join you from the booth.
Yeah, sure.
Watch the game, come back, but
you had the Maryland.
We got to get to Maryland.
That's why that's
heavy as the
hazard of having as many jobs as you have.
It's true. I need a single job. But to your point, I think it's a great opportunity for people. I mean, Abbott's got buddies that are just on a golf trip there by happenstance.
Well,
and just get to add it on. They're already there golfing.
Yeah,
so and this is a bonus. Hey, we're going to go to the game.
Yeah, it's not a bad gig.
It's crazy.
Well, a couple texts have already come in. This is from 701 guy. I am a Vikings season ticket holder, and I was able to buy 10 tickets for Vikings fans using the pre-sale link. There will be lots of purple. That's Derek. So did Vikings fans, were they in that early window too, or is it just a different window that maybe they had greater access than the average Rube would be? I don't know.
Probably different.
This is a 952 guy. A friend of mine had tickets for the game in L.A. He got an email yesterday from the Rams to let him know he could start to purchase tickets in Arizona starting at 1 p.m. Central. He got tickets, but said it took about an hour. Sounds like there was a high demand. He paid $462 per ticket. Viking side, 10-yard line. That's pretty expensive, isn't it? Or am I crazy? I mean, I
was talking to Sean, so I didn't hear what the price was.
Price is $462 per ticket. Viking side, 10-yard line.
For a playoff game, that's probably about right.
Well, but it's a very unusual kind of playoff game. Yeah. Is my point. That's the only thing. I that's actually higher than I thought it would have been. So it sounds like so a lot of people are going to take advantage of the opportunity, and I don't think Vikings fans have to worry about a bunch of Kyler Murray fans being there. Now, if you're a football fan, I guess you say, well, it's a playoff game. I'm going to go, right? That's possible. That can be part of the deal. By the way, we moved Sean Salisbury from yesterday to today because he was in the middle of that southern storm and had some internet problems. So he is back via the Connecticut Water Systems Hotline. How wintry did it get? Because my recollection is, well, you know what real winter is, but the folks in Houston don't very often. So how bad did it get, and are you out from it yet?
Yeah, it's still cold and really windy. Not raining today. And Dan, when I'm almost, it's shameful for me to say this because you're in Minnesota. If you were calling me from Hawaii, it'd be a different story. But because it's Minnesota, I'm not going to sit here and woe is me because it's like 35, 40 degrees today. It was like in a wind chill yesterday was down it felt in my house like in the high 20s. But they were like, the winds are brutal. It was snowing in Dallas, but in mine. And as we've known in the past, thank goodness we fixed that with what we're doing now. Yeah. But the internet goes out pretty fast. A lot of construction still. This is a community that's growing and it's out in the country. So, but it's, I think we're over what do they say in Caddyshack? The hard stuff's not coming for hours. We're past that. But it was fine. It was just, and even the night before, and then leading into yesterday, we got a lot of, there's a behind my house, it's like a green belt. So there's water in a canal and it rises with the thing. So it hit pretty hard, but it comes in, in Houston, it comes in droves, man, in a hurry, but we're fine, man. Nothing like what people have to face elsewhere or what's going on in LA or other storms. So, no complaints here other than the internet would have made it scratchy yesterday, and I had none. And I didn't want to do that to you guys.
All's well that ends well. Yeah, I think we're in good shape, and this is as good a day as any to talk what we want to talk about. Let's quickly take one last look back at the Lions game, because I had mentioned I picked the Lions to win the game. I think you did too, but I, like most people, would not have been stunned going in, and I certainly thought, okay, it's going to be a pretty competitive ball game. When it ends up being eventually as non-competitive, how much did that surprise you, and what did you make of it?
It surprised me, Dan, because we've seen a damn good and resilient Vikings team all year, and we know how good Detroit is. I mean, even with the injuries, I guess it's like, if you're a player, and we've all been in these games. You know how in school when the teacher said throw out your worst score.
Yes.
That's the one, right? Unfortunately, it happened for with home field advantage on the line, the whole country watching. It was just you in Detroit, and the anticipation of it. It was kind of it was a turd game for the Vikings, and Sam did not play well. The key for me, and even in that, while it would have been great to have home field advantage, I think we should change the rule in college and the NFL.
Yeah.
I think the 4 best records, the best records in each should be. I don't think a 14-3 team should be going on the road. I just don't. But that's neither here nor there. Sam did not play well. They made a lot of poor decisions. The defense tried to hang in there. The offense,
they sure did.
They battled their ass off. So that is not, put it this way, that's not indicative of if they were playing again, what I would think that the Vikings were going to show up with. They looked a little bit overwhelmed in the game. Not that they can't handle pressure. It was just one of those, and it would happen at a crappy-ass time. Do I believe? The key for me is how strong are you in the locker room? I think pretty strong. And how quickly can you get rid of the rearview mirror and look back, as cheesy as it sounds, into the windshield, and knowing that, okay, it would have been nice. We're still 14-3. Now the game's been moved for unfortunate circumstances, so it's not an over home field advantage. It'll be a fast track. We can go back to do what we do. Good teams take what happened to them the week before and go take care of their business this week. Whether that's a win or not, who knows? But they will not play like they did last week. I mean, obviously, and the Rams aren't Detroit, and the Rams got them earlier this year, as we know. So I was surprised, not shocked going on the road that it happens. I was surprised at how important the game was and how it was so. Vikings, are you going to show up offensively? I can guarantee you, with the same verbiage, these two teams are mirror when it comes to the verbiage. You could switch rosters.
Yeah.
And they would know that they could both play for each other's team, because nothing in their verbiage is going to change in these games. I can tell you this, the Rams don't expect the Detroit Lions Vikings to show up, and neither do they. And I'm not worried. I saw a couple people on social media, Dan, and I know, sometimes, but, sometimes my head explodes and I get opinion.
Yes.
But let's bench Darnold. Would you please stop this? What do you want to put me in?
Yeah.
Guarantee you get an ass whooping? Right. So no, they'll be better, and I do believe Sam Darnold will validate. And I think it's going to be a hell of a game and a close game, because how do you control those? The Kupp and Nakua, they're really good. They use that as an extension of the run game. They're as good as anybody at it. The whole thing is you hit Stafford, make them one-dimensional. The Vikings will go in there and win. So I don't think you're going to see what you saw last week. And I hate to say this because I don't like the old, hey man, moral victory, even though it was a moral loss. Oh, it's cool. We'll use that as a springboard to next week. I don't look at it like that, but it ought to piss you off. And I would think that it creates a sense of urgency. So a little humble pie and a kick to the teeth ain't such a bad idea. It just happened in a big moment.
So let's drill down a little bit more on Darnold. And look, there's not any question. I think you'll agree. He missed people in the end zone. I mean, he had open
red zone stuff,
receivers, which would indicate that the plays were fine. It was the execution. I felt, though, over the course of the game, that one adjustment I would have liked to have seen is, all right, I've got, for whatever reason, he's jittery today. He's throwing high. We don't know why. Is it mental? Is it physical? Is it just a bad day? But I got to stop just thinking about, well, they're playing man-to-man, and we should destroy it over the top and go back to, all right, let's cut off some of the routes. Let's go a little shorter. Let's give them some safer passes that aren't quite as fancy. The Lions sure as hell don't mind playing that way. And to me, that was the one part on the coaching side that I thought was a mistake, that no matter what you think you should be able to do against man-to-man, right, if they're sending a bunch of people,
right.
I think you got to do a little bit of adjusting. Now, that may not apply this week. The Rams play defense differently, although they have a great, they may be able to rush just with their front four.
Exactly.
But what did you think about the adjusting part of this?
And there's nothing better than the luxury we've seen from the Giants in the past when they were winning Super Bowls over the Patriots.
Yep, exactly.
Looks back to what you can do with 7 cats if you got 4.
Mm-hmm.
If you can pressure with 4, what a great bonus that is. You know what, Dan? I think both are really interesting. And I thought Sam looked Sam looked frantic to me.
Yep.
And I haven't said, and this is just being honest. I love the guy, and I think one thing, he'll never make excuses. He'll just get back to it. That's why I trusted. And I think his confidence has grown so much. If this would have happened back-to-back weeks in week 4 and 5, we might have been thinking, is it creeping back where he feels like he's got to make every play and push it down the field? But I think he is confident enough and has learned enough in his past and the way he's had success. I think he'll feed off that. So that's one. But he was in the red zone and frantic. He looked, it was like disheveled. It just looked like the guy I've seen in the past that was trying to make everything happen and just didn't have it. And then you get to a point, the desperation kicks in and you try to throw balls places that you have no business throwing. And when you did, it wasn't accurate in the first place. But I think that'll get fixed. I'm with you 100%. There's nothing. And I watch, when watching all these games every week like you do, there's nothing that bothers me more than when things are up, whether it's blitz pressure, whether it's you get man-to-man, the fade throwing contest, as I talk about balls that
Yes.
you keep trying to get your explosives down the field,
yep.
regardless of the down and distance and you mentioned Detroit, the greatest teams in the world live with the ordinary play.
Exactly
now,
right.
It may not be ordinary formations and motions and all. I like window dressing a lot. When I was there, Brian Billick, we loved window dressing, right? Shift, double cadence. We were doing that stuff before they were using the double cadence where you lift your leg or clap your hands and then reset and then send another, because that's like to find out what's going on with the coverage. Well, Brian and Jack Burns, we were doing that years ago. And now they've just done it with more bodies and a different, with RPOs and all that stuff. But so to me, the best way to get out of man coverage and to beat it, and they will get out of man coverage quicker if the flat route in the flat, or throw a check down, or hit the shallow crossers. The worst thing you can do is continue to press the envelope on something that, it's just down the field. We don't have it. Let Jefferson make a slant catch and do something with it.
Sure.
That's why they get paid, and that's why they got is why he's wearing those, either a single digit or for him and number 18, the jersey that allows him to go do his thing. I cannot stand where you're actually you're compounding the mistake by saying, well, he's having trouble. Why not get back to the basics of simple, where a boom, curl, flat, shallow, get him completions and break a tackle. And now it's like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that happens, there's a tendency with defensive players and coordinators, as we all in human nature, you keep doing that. What do, Dan? I decide I'm going to jump it, and I'm not going to allow you to do that. And then we can hit the bender over the top down the middle, like we used to do with Steve Jordan and Chris Carter. Or then you can take your shots. But when you're most of your explosive plays in football aren't throwing the ball down the field. It's throwing the ball and letting those guys do work. Now, you'll hit them, but that's not high percentage. And there's nothing worse than 3 and out, fade throw, deep ball, incompletion, sack, boom, back to the bench, 3 and out. The Detroit Lions make a living on flat route, naked boot, shallow crosser, tight end. And I think that the Vikings have done a hell of a job with that this year. The problem is it almost felt like they got to a point of desperation. You're trying to match throw for throw. That's not who they are. And that's not who they should be this week, because, they're watch the other side. You know what they're going to do, how they're going to rush it defensively, but offensively, they're going to get simple completions with the cool. That's exactly how they're going to run this. They're going to they're going to try to take Brian's pressure out of his hands. Oh, you blitz, boom, quick hitter to Puka and let him get 7 yards after the catch. This is one of those make the ordinary play games. Should have been last week, which would have got him in it. Then you take your shots. I think this is a game this week that both teams can play some horizontal football, and Stafford's going to take shots at some point. But they've got to be judicious shots. And then for the Vikings, last week. Get back to getting me. I love when Sam's 9 of 10 to start. We've seen a bunch of that this year. Then I feel good about the Vikings. You don't want to play chase mode because then they'll control the ball with short passing. I would like more of that because I think simple plays equal big plays in the end.
Ordinary plays. You're exactly right.
Question.
That's such a big part of it. So what specifically, give us your best Ram scouting report. What would be or what might be concerning to you that you believe will make, at the very least, the Rams a tough out here for the Purple?
Well, one is that you mentioned it, the ability for their people with their hand in the dirt to get pressure without having to blitz. So, and also when you're putting a game plan in as an offense, now, are we worried that Kevin and it's like when the Harbaugh brothers get together, or when our guy and when Shanahan plays McVay, you're not going to do a whole lot of fooling. Now, both teams, and the Rams, McVay will pull out a double pass. One of those, a pitch back to the quarterback. But that one play can't use up my entire defensive week. For me, it's defensively the ability to pressure. And I love the Rams' resilience this year. 8 weeks ago, we had them left for dead. Is it going to be Arizona? Where's Seattle? And they just can't, especially after their start with their injuries at wide receiver. Defensively, though, when you can pressure with 4, I can do a lot on the back end. So what happens is don't get lulled to sleep, because then when they bring the 5th guy and you're not ready for it, it becomes you're in 3rd and long. So that on defense, and just quickly on offense, I don't know how you're going to decide if you're Brian. I mean, I do know, but how you're going to decide who you doubling.
Sure.
Because both of those guys, and it won't just be those 2 guys. They'll take their shots outside of, the Cup and Nakua stuff, but they are so good. And McVay is so good at the motion disguising, and just to get a little free runner. I'm talking about an offense where hit that and let those guys do work. They have zero issue going 85 yards on 14 plays where 6 of them are throws, and it looks like the run game. You have to. And my thing on defense, and Brian will give all those different looks, I can't let those slot receivers and the outside guys get free run. I've got to at least take them off their mark at the line of scrimmage, be physical with them. If you're playing in space like I see people do with Kelsey, and what does he do? Pushes up 8 to 10 yards, bumps off him. It's too easy. At least make Stafford double clutch, and that's when he gets in trouble. And the one thing you really don't have to worry about is the east and west escape from Matthew Stafford. Once in a while, he'll do it and throw it, but you've got to force him that way, because he's a great pocket climber, and there is still, when he's got a clean pocket, there's no throw in the league he can't make.
Yeah.
He can still throw it as good as anybody in the league. They will take some shots, but they are going to live by getting the ball in those 2 receivers' hands. Do not be shocked in this game if those 2 receivers don't have a total between them, I don't know, 20
Targets?
25 targets.
Yeah, I think
double
you're right.
digits for both. I guarantee you.
I don't know if you caught the news yesterday that kind of intrigued some of us, that KOC was asked. Daniel Jones has been activated, which everybody kind of knew was coming, because by doing that, if he leaves, you end up with a supplemental pick. Absolutely. So that makes sense. But what he wouldn't do yesterday, he was given 2 chances to basically say, okay, is he your backup? Is there any chance he might be your backup for this game? And both times he avoided it and said, we're going to do whatever we need to do at this point to succeed. And, my eyebrows went up, obviously, like a lot of people, like, oh, that's kind of interesting that he might be the backup. Now, is it possible that do you think they could make that kind of move, even though they've had a backup all season? And maybe even there's some thought about, all right, we'll do we got 1 series for Jones on some bootleg stuff we might try, or is this much ado about nothing, do you think?
No, I think there's some. First of all, with Kevin not answering, first of all, you don't want to give those guys at L.A.
True.
Like, oh, who are we preparing for? But in truth, they're preparing for Darnold and whatever else comes, because that's the guy you want to stop. I think there are legs to this in a couple different ways. One is, Dan, why wouldn't I protect myself with a guy who's played in the playoffs and is even though he struggled with the Giants, they got a guy who struggled with the Jets in Carolina.
Exactly.
Who, in truth, and who's athletic as hell.
He won a playoff game here, Sean. That's how he got his contract.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And got big money.
That's it.
So why wouldn't I protect it? And he's not telling you, which, to be honest with you, kind of tells me that if it's 14-14 in the middle of the 3rd quarter and Sam misses a series, I believe Daniel Jones will be the guy. Why wouldn't you lean on that?
Sure.
And doesn't he still have a bone to pick and something to feel like he has something to prove? Yeah. And you're activating because you think that mentally He's grasped what you're trying to do in at least a basic way in the last, what's it been, a month now or something like that? Whatever it's been, or even longer, 6 weeks, maybe time flies. So I do think, and his athleticism, even though Sam can throw off schedule, his athleticism gives you that extra dimension of his legs, straight line speed. This dude can flat out go. So I do think there's an experience. I do think there's a comfort level. And why wouldn't I want the best of the best. If something goes wrong with Sam, a KG veteran who's seen this, and he's been kicked in the teeth plenty. So I do think there's legs to it. Now, I got to come out of this with a win. I'm not worried about anybody's feelings in this, Dan. I'm not. I got to protect it. I don't think Sam's going to be looking over his shoulder, but I do think there is a reason, aside from this, the pick you're talking about, that you saw a little bit that made you uncomfortable last week. Doesn't mean Sam's going to the bench and it's not going to be a quick hook, but this is a security blanket that gives me a guy who's had a ton of reps and who's been in postseason games if, in fact, you need him. I do think there's legs to it, and I do think there's a reason for it. And the best thing is that he doesn't see the field. Then the Vikings are doing their thing. And I'll take you back to when I played, and you say, well, could he be the backup? Remember when I left and came back to Minnesota, Dan? Warren Moon,
right?
Brad Johnson. I came back and finished my career there. Then I finished in San Diego one last year. But if you remember the last game of the year, I'd been there, and Brad, who we love and is a hell of a player, the last game of the year, I was the third guy. They put me ahead of Brad. We played the 49ers. We had to win to get to the playoffs. It wasn't because they didn't trust Brad. It was the comfort zone. We beat the 49ers in our building. And I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying the similarities are. But I ended up starting that game. They're not going to start Daniel Jones, but Warren was not playing, couldn't play. And Brian had put me in the lineup because I'd been in the league longer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The verbiage and been in bigger games. And we won the game and moved on. But I think it was just the security blanket. And Brad went on to a phenomenal career and did great things. And I'm sure, people are like, what are you doing? But it was the fact that 10 years in the league or what have you, it was just a comfort zone. And that may be the same thing for Kevin. You hope it doesn't come to that as far as the backup getting in. But similar circumstances, even though this is the playoffs and that was to get in the playoffs, there was still a single elimination feel to it. And it was just a comfort zone at the time for Brian and Denny and that group. Well, this is a comfort zone in case something goes on. I'm not worried if I got to run Daniel Jones out there because he's been in some pretty big moments where he's had success and had failure.
All right, let's finish with some picks. Chargers, Houston.
I got Chargers by a field goal. At no time this year in 17 games have we seen four quarters of great offensive football by the Texans.
Pittsburgh.
And Harbaugh is it's Michigan with a different wrapper. They're going to run it.
Yeah.
Herbert's feet will make a difference in this game. And their defense is. I don't think they get enough credit. Minter's done a great job. And Derwin James is a beast. Give me the Chargers by a field goal on the road.
Pittsburgh, Baltimore.
I think this is going to be a curb stomp. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers defense and Mike Tomlin, phenomenal. Their offense is reeling. Baltimore's playing better than anybody in the league right now. Even if your defense shows up, can Pittsburgh put 17 on the board? Because they're getting in the 20s. I'm just telling you, Baltimore's going to score. And even though two of the last 10 times, that's all Baltimore's. Pittsburgh has their number. It ends in this playoff game. Too much offense, and that's a big spread. I actually think this could be a double-digit victory. I don't think Russ Wilson's offense is going to do much in this game.
Denver at Buffalo.
Sneakier than you think. Buffalo's, I love the way they play, but defense travels. Denver plays defense. And what is if it's inclement weather, what have you, even though he's a rookie, he hadn't played like one, neither is Jaden Daniels. What have they done offensively with a rookie? They're using his legs a lot like Josh Allen uses his.
Yeah.
It's a sneaky one. I know it's a big spread too. I think that game, I would take Denver if I bet that game, but I think Buffalo's going to win because I really like the way Allen's played. But and it's on the road. But I think Denver stays in it. And if Bo Nix gets out of the rookie feel and plays like the veteran that he left from college, I think his legs can keep them in the game. Give me Buffalo with the win, though.
Green Bay at Philly.
This is the hardest game for me to pick because I think Green Bay's got a world of potential, but I think Philadelphia's overall roster on both sides. I don't know how far Philly's going in January. I think they do get by this one. It ain't going to be close, and Jalen Hurts has to get back to elevating the game, passing game. He does. I just think Philadelphia is going to have too much. I would think a flip the field and good field position. And the way Barkley's playing, good luck trying to stop him and then having to deal with those speedy perimeter guys. Philadelphia by 6 or 7. I think they win by a touchdown.
Washington, Tampa?
I got Washington. I love this game because Tampa's one of those grinded out, and Mayfield's had a good year. I think the accuracy and the way Jaden Daniels is playing, I'm going to go with Washington. I think this team's got a great future, and they're athletic. And the quarterback, if you cut him off with his arm, he destroys you with his feet, and he's incredibly accurate. Give me the rookie making enough plays on the road, in this game to go win. Yeah.
And give me a score: Vikings, Rams in Arizona.
24-20.
Ooh.
Vikings.
That's. I think that's very reasonable. I think that sounds like it's going to be right in that area. I'm with you 100%.
They're going to have to grind. It'll be ugly at times, and now that they're going in, it'll be a fast track. But give me the Vikings and a poised win to get ready for next week.
Awesome work, my friend. We'll chat next week. Thanks, Shawnee.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Sean Salisbury wound up like few others. That's why we love having him on. We've got our own prediction segment coming up. Carl Gerbschmidt around the corner. We might mock and ridicule him on the basis of the way the Packers have looked lately. He'll probably mock and ridicule us because of the way the Vikings looked last Sunday night in Detroit. All of that. Ben Gessling at 4:30 and Lavelle at 5:30.
Touchdown to the 10. He will score.
It's time for the Bumper to Bumper award-winning NFL prediction segment on the Fan. Brought to you by Continental Diamond. Now, to help you break down this week's games, here's your favorite NFL wonk, Dan Barrero.
If this segment had a trophy for the award-winning prediction segment, what do you think it would look like? What would the Bumper to Bumper award-winning prediction segment championship trophy?
Wow.
What might it look like? Carl, do you have a thought on that?
I don't even know what the award looks like.
Well, I don't think either of us do either, unfortunately. I think it's more mythical.
Well, then the trophy should have like a mythical quality to it.
Maybe that it should, because congratulations, you win, I think for like the 8th straight year, the regular season title with a record of...
People don't take me seriously, man.
Well, they should. 31-23 against the spread.
I'm serious, baby.
I feel good about... We all were above 500. Guardsy and I tied at 29-25, only 2 games behind you. But 31-23 against the spread is a very solid representative record.
Yeah, and I have to be honest. A lot of times I did not pick Minnesota. So
yeah, that's what hurt me, frankly.
Good point.
Yeah.
If when you're betting this, my emotions get I get too kind of emotional about it.
Is that right?
So yeah, a little bit. So I would just say if it doesn't involve Minnesota, you should take my word. By the way, how do you guys root for that team?
What do you mean?
I was so upset. Because I was the one last week who said they're going to win and cover.
Yeah.
And
that was the mistake. That's the one you missed.
I believed in them.
Yeah.
And, and I stood up for them. And I said, you guys, because you were doubting.
I was
not doubting. And I was like, I had bought into all the hype. And then you just crashed my emotions on a sea of rock.
Sorry. I feel bad about that.
You took a Vikings game that hard?
How does it, I mean, what is it?
How do you do it?
Well,
how do you guys do that week after week, year after year?
Well, how do you process?
Do that?
I was going to say, how do you process the fact that the team that looked so bad against Detroit destroyed you the week before?
Well, again, it was fluky,
of course,
and it was a very close game.
Yeah,
and like I said when I tweeted out during that game, we have to win. Because I want to play one of those two teams again. You guys are terrible. Both teams were terrible.
Not very good.
They were both terrible.
Yeah.
We could just, it's like, sometimes it's when you play a team.
Are you going to Philly?
No.
No, that's disappointing. That's disappointing.
Are you out of your mind?
No, I'm not. I mean, I didn't think you were afraid of anything.
Look, Dan, most things I'm not. I will work right on a very busy highway doing intricate measurements while the big trucks speed by. But going into Philadelphia, that's not for human consumption.
Well, there's some truth to that. I just didn't think you were. By the way, speaking of the roads, what's the biggest piece of roadkill you ever removed?
Oh my goodness, I don't remove those. By the way,
you did once upon a time.
Well, yeah, when I was younger, but then we have since allocated that responsibility to the local vicinities.
Oh,
we will pick them up if it becomes a persistent problem in a community, and then they will get a stern talking to.
Cool.
What's the largest thing we've ever picked up?
Yeah.
We've picked up some very large bears.
Bears, okay.
I'm waiting for a sheep shot here.
Yeah, there's one coming soon. Yeah, of course they were dead, all dead.
What do you mean?
Well, no, it's a Monsters of the Midway joke. It wasn't very well executed. Sorry.
He took a shot while you were gone.
I don't joke about roadkill, Dan.
About Bears fans. The women also look like Mike Ditka.
That's not very kind.
They do.
For the New Year's party that they had at Packer. It was not.
That's not
I
kind.
had to call
That's
them
unkind.
out. Yeah, it was unkind.
To who? Ditka?
Man.
Don't forget we have to break again.
I would say a moose or an elk, one or two.
One of the two?
Mooses. Have you ever seen one of those mooses up close?
They're big.
Damn, they're big.
They're huge.
You need to kind of break it down before you can get in the truck.
Yeah.
Ugh.
What do you use? You use like a chainsaw?
Yeah, chainsaw.
Chainsaw, yeah. That's what I figured. Hey, we do need to get caught up because we went, Sean Salisbury, we never get in his way, man.
He likes
He's
to
worked
talk.
out. Oh, he's tremendous, though. He
loves to hear himself talk.
Well, yeah, because we want him to talk because he's a good analyst, a good football analyst. He doesn't like your team very much. Let's break. We'll get caught up. We got a lot of games to get to as well because this is the first weekend, wild card weekend. Gerby, part 2 in just a minute here in the Fan. Part 2 with Carl Gerbschmidt via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. Couple quick emails, Gerby, before we get to some picks. This is from Larry Mondello guy. You familiar with him?
The name is familiar.
We've quoted.
I think you've referred to the guy before.
Yeah, we've quoted from him before when you've been on.
A weird obsession with the radio station.
He definitely has an obsession with the station. He writes, "It's too bad he just got a new job, or Gerby could have hired RFK Jr. to work on one of his roadkill crews. He'd have that moose broken down in no time." Kind of funny?
Yeah,
reasonably funny.
Does this guy write jokes?
Well, he thinks so. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep working on it.
All right, is this any better? This is from 651 guy. Why do you guys have this dude on? He's a moron, and he's so annoying.
That's not very nice.
First of all, the fact that I've been doing this for how long now, Dan?
About 25 years, yeah, whatever it's been.
Yeah, I mean, I must bring something to the table where they want me back.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think they have me on because they think they're making fun of me.
No.
But they're not, because I get the last laugh.
Always have.
I am an owner. I am a supervisor.
Yeah.
Kyle ends up on the top. That's how it goes. Who did the best job in predictions? Carl. Whose team has got 13 world championships? Carl.
Yeah.
What teams does 651? Is that what his name is, by the way? 651
651 guy, yeah.
Okay, that's a great nickname, boy. I bet that goes over big at parties. Yeah, what do you got? You got nothing. Your team's losers.
What team went 1-5 in the division? Carl.
Every year is different, okay? All the games are different.
Yeah, for sure.
We're in the playoffs.
A blocked field goal from 0-6.
We're in the Super Bowl. We're going to be in the Super Bowl.
A pinky from 0-6 in the division. One big pinky.
Like you've never done that.
Well, no, not lately. We've been good in the division.
Because look, history is circular, okay?
Is it?
It goes around and around and around. Except for you guys, it never goes to the top. So for other people, they get chances. Your team loses.
if this makes you feel any
I'm
better.
a clown. I am not a clown.
Well, 320 guy.
That's me.
Coming to your defense, I look forward to listening to the moron every Friday afternoon.
What's this moron
No,
stuff?
actually, he didn't say moron. I did. But he did say he looks forward to the segment. So there are people in your corner, even if they're laughing at you and not with you.
I am. You should take me dead serious. Okay? Dead serious.
Yeah, I've said that for years. Can we get to some games?
Yeah, sure.
Let's go in the order in which the games will be played. That means we start with the Chargers in Houston, gun belt tight, taking on the not all that impressive this year Texans. Guardsy, why don't you go first?
You know the Texans have played this game, the Saturday 3:30 game?
Is that disrespect?
Like 9 times?
9 times.
9 times.
Yeah.
They've played this game, it seems like yearly. It's like the Lions on Thanksgiving.
I thought this was the 1 o'clock game.
Well, I didn't
Or
know
the
the
early
time
game.
for sure.
Yeah, it's the early of the two.
Saturday early game.
Right.
This is the Texans.
It might be 3. You might be right.
Game.
Yeah.
But the Chargers are going to win. I agree with what Salisbury said. And I think the Chargers are going to cover. The Texans are no good. I'm going to take the Chargers.
It's trappy a little bit because it almost feels like it's too obvious. Houston has not been close to what they were a year ago. They're not satisfied. Their fans aren't satisfied. The Chargers are remade in Harbaugh's image, right? Where they're tougher now. Their QB is not asked to throw the ball 62 times a game, but they play better. I'm a little worried about the half because it feels like a 3-point victory for the Chargers to me. I'll tell you what. I'm going to take the Texans to cover. Even though I think the Chargers will win, that half point bugs me a little bit. And Houston's at home. They got a little bit of pride. I don't think the Chargers are this finished product quite yet. I'm going to take Houston to cover. Carl?
That's not the biggest factor in this game, though. The biggest factor in this game is the distraction stuff going on with Los Angeles.
What?
There's fires out there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. My brother Vern is at home now here in Wisconsin because his place burned down.
Oh, that's not good.
So, yeah, all
That's not good.
his place and a lot of the studios that they rented out burned down.
Not
not good.
No, it's not good at all. It's a rough scene.
Yeah. And Vern brought a couple of his coworkers, and so we got a full basement right now.
What is that supposed to mean? What do you mean? He brought people with?
Yeah, it's like a couple of the ladies that work from the office, I think.
Well, that's nice. You can open your home.
Yeah. We all have to reach out during these times, George.
Yeah, I hope Mrs.
So
Gerbschmidt's
that's the
okay
biggest
with all that.
distraction, though, is that Chargers are like, hey, is my house gone? And so, you worry about that. Yeah. But I agree that Houston is very disappointing. And history would say the Chargers are 5-0 on the road against the spread. So we'll take the Chargers against the spread.
Second game Saturday, night game, Ravens hosting the Steelers. Ravens by 8.5 over the fading Steelers. Guardsy?
It's hard for me to bet against Mike Tomlin. You know my affinity.
A lot of points.
It's a lot of points, but I think
it's in Baltimore.
It's in Baltimore, and I think the Ravens are kind of back to who they've been, even though they take some weird losses as the season goes on.
True.
I'm going to take the Ravens to cover, even though I don't feel great about it.
I don't feel great about it, but I am going to take the Ravens because the Steelers are definitely, offensively especially, are going the wrong direction. So I, too, will take Baltimore. Carl?
Well, Steelers are Baltimore's kryptonite. That's what everybody says. Even though it's not a very good...
Yeah.
It's not a very good, analogy.
No.
But that's what people say.
Okay.
What I'm kind of worried about the over-under on this show, this one being, is the number of times I have to reset because it's only going to be on Amazon or something like that.
Right.
Your internet's
and
not
they're
good?
going to try to sell me a lot of products in the game. So I'm a little worried about that. But I think Pittsburgh is not playing good right now. I think Baltimore's going to win, I think, by a lot.
Sunday, Buffalo hosting the surprising Denver Broncos. The Bills favored by 8.5.
Broncos have played nobody. Broncos are no good. I will never pick for a Sean Payton team. They're not. And somebody brought that up. They're like a game better than they were a year ago.
They got a legit defense.
Against Sean Payton.
That's fine. He's a cheater.
Is the Clipper coming in? What's the weather in Buffalo? Do we know?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll look if try to get it for your pick. But the weather does not affect me for this one because I'm taking the Bills.
I'm pausing a little bit because Salisbury likes Buffalo, but he likes Denver against the spread. That's a lot of points. Denver's sneaky. They are very good defensively. I mean, not just good, very good. This is a wonderful offense. It's on the road. The assumption is, as good as the kid quarterback has been, you're asking a lot of him. 8.5.
Snow tonight and tomorrow in Buffalo, but nothing on Sunday. It should be cloudy with a high near 33.
I'm going to take Denver.
It snows in Denver, too. It snows in Denver,
That's
too.
very true. I'm going to take Denver to cover, although obviously not win. Carl?
Name the number. Take Buffalo.
Eagles hosting your Green Bay Packers. Eagles are favored by 5.5 over your slumping, bad playing team down the stretch. Gerby, we'll start with you.
I thought the Packers were going to get their usual stroke of luck with Jalen Hurts being in protocol earlier in the week.
Yeah.
He's been a full participant the last couple of days. He has no injury designation. He is good to go for the game. The luck has run out. Green Bay is no good. We need to stop romanticizing Green Bay. I like Matt LaFleur. I like him fine. Jordan Love's been okay. They don't have Watson. Their defense is banged up. The Packers go to Philly and get crushed and mercifully end their season.
I'm going dog again on the spread. Green Bay disappointed me here. Obviously disappointed me against the Monsters of the Midway in a game that, didn't have a lot of significance, but certainly not good to lose. And they've not looked sharp. I'm going to still take Green Bay to cover. Carl?
Do you know who the most overrated team in the playoffs is?
Eagles.
Philadelphia.
I figured you'd
Who
say
they
that.
play? Who do they play to get to play against Dallas and Washington and New York?
What's wrong with Washington?
Those teams are terrible.
Washington's terrible?
The only reason Washington's ain't good is they can play New York and Dallas twice.
Okay.
So it's a terrible division. They're terrible. And they can't do anything. We're going to win this game. Therefore, we cover it. So I don't see how you can see this game any other way.
Bucks hosting the Washington Commanders, who Gerby just destroyed, just savaged, just gave the back of his hand. What do you think, Gerby?
Everybody's on the Commanders, and I understand why. I'm going with the wily vet, Baker Mayfield. I'm going with Tampa Bay.
I am too. Tampa Bay. They beat them early in the season there. I think even with the kid quarterback for Washington, as good as he's been, it's going to be his first playoff game as well. And I don't want to mess with the Tampa Bay offense at this point, especially at home. I got Tampa to cover. Carl?
And Tampa gets how many points?
3.5.
Yeah, it's too many. It's too many for Washington. And I tend to think, first of all, I don't think either of these guys have enough experience in the playoffs to where you're going to go, well, one's better than the other. But I think that, again, Washington hasn't beaten anybody. And so it's too many points. I'll take Tampa.
Well, wait. That was too many points.
Yeah,
you mean you're taking
backwards,
Commanders?
Gerby.
Tampa's favored by 3.5.
I have to give 3.5 points?
Yeah, Bucks are giving 3.5 to the Commanders.
I'll still do it.
You're still going to do it. Okay. And then the big one, Monday night, moved to Arizona because of the disaster in Southern California, the brush fires.
Fires in Los Angeles.
That's correct.
In case you guys didn't know.
Thank you. Vikings favored by 2.5 points over the Los Angeles Rams of Anaheim. Gerby?
Do you know that Brian Flores didn't even know Puka Nacua was going to play last time?
That's not helpful.
He knows this time.
You think he does? Well,
I
can he
hope
do
so.
anything about it? He's good.
Puka Nacua?
Puka is legit.
He's good.
He's very good.
I heard Charch in
I
PA.
can say his name.
It's a fun name to say.
Puka Nacua?
Nacua.
Yeah.
I
It's
heard
like a Disney song.
I heard Charch in PA talk about
Matata.
they've got another wide receiver that only catches touchdowns against us.
Yeah, he's been off. He's
It's
been
not
mediocre.
Cooper Kupp. It's another guy.
Oh, Cup. Yeah, you're not talking about Cup. Yeah.
I'm not talking about Kupp. They got another guy. I don't remember his name now.
That's a fun name to say is Cooper Kupp.
That's a great name. You're right.
Cooper
Sean
Kupp
McVay's a good name to say.
For Dewey.
Anything else, Carl? Did you make an actual pick yet?
I didn't. No, I was trying to give something.
Right.
I shouldn't. I should know by now.
Yeah.
The Vikings are going to win. Vikings are going to win. They're going to cover. They're going to rebound. Darnold's going to play well. And maybe we'll be hosting a playoff game if the 5, 6, 7 seed both win.
This is going to prove to be a nightmare matchup for the Vikings. I think they would have been better off going to Tampa Bay, than the Rams. I think the Rams are sneaky bad matchup for our club, not the least of which the reasons being they got a pass rush. They don't need probably to do a lot of zero blitzing, and I'm not that certain our offensive line is going to match up against them. I think that could make Darnold a little bit frantic. They've got a running game. Now, I'll add this asterisk. Vikings get up like 10-0, 14-0. I like the chances because then I think Rams have to play a different way. I worry it's going to be one of those close games throughout where we meander a little bit, and the Rams can keep running the ball because they've got a damn good running back. They don't have anybody like Gibbsy, but they can run. I think it's going to be the nightmare scenario after this tremendous season. It's going to end with 2 consecutive losses, last game of the regular season and first game of the playoffs. I am taking the Rams to cover. Carl?
How much luck do you guys need, by the way? How much do you need?
What does that mean?
It means you're so lucky they moved it away from Los Angeles.
Well, they have no home field advantage.
You're going to have more fans in that stadium than Los Angeles.
Probably true.
That was going to be true either way.
Yeah,
well, this
probably not
really
going to be that different.
Now.
Yeah.
It's really going to be true now. I mean, how much luck do you need? What would you need Goodell to come on spot you? Say, hey, let's just start it out 7-0 Minnesota. You need something like that?
Seems unlikely.
Is that how much you need to win?
Maybe.
I mean, I believed in this team last week.
Yeah,
I mean, I did,
and
look what it got me.
Yeah, I didn't get you.
I think the smartest thing for everybody in Minnesota to do is just don't ever believe. Just don't ever believe in it because it's not going to end well for you because it never has and never will.
Man.
And the problem here is you want to know how the game goes. It goes like this. Minnesota can't run the ball. They can't. Aaron Jones, who will probably be hurt at some point during the game, and then you can't run the ball. So now you try to throw the ball around outside, and it's going to be tough because Donald is like freaked out. He's like his brain is fried or something. I don't know. Maybe he's just very worried about Daniel Jones or something like that. I don't know what it is, but he's freaked out. And then Los Angeles, that's Matt Stafford. He was #1 draft choice overall, and you can't cover. I watched enough of your team to know you can't cover the middle of the field.
Now we have a problem.
And where
do
you think all those guys catches the ball?
Middle of the field.
Middle of the field.
Yeah.
They get 10 yards anytime they want. It's like, did you not watch that game when you lost? Every time it's like 3rd down 7, they pick up 9. 3rd down and 9, they pick up 12. I mean, it's like you couldn't stop them at all. And now it's a young team that got better. So I hate to tell you, but we're going to be in the playoffs longer than you are.
Wow.
And you're gonna feel bad, but I don't want y'all to feel like real bad because you just never should have bought in the first place.
Is it possible?
You never should have bought in the first place.
Is it possible that that Vern will be taking his office ladies out to the bars later tonight in Elton?
Oh no, they've been at bars a couple nights.
They already
Randy
have,
goes too.
Yeah, I had a hunch.
I don't go.
Keep Randy away from
Just
him.
be careful. Yeah, I worry about Randy around the office ladies. I'm not going to lie to you. Vern's office ladies in
Well,
particular.
I do too, Dan, but he's a grown adult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Grown-ass man, as they say in the business. We got to go.
And in this case, he definitely is a grown-ass man.
What a way to
know
end
what
it.
to say. Yeah, I'm not going to try
Have
to
a good
top
weekend,
it.
Carl.
Carl, we'll talk to you next week.
I hope. Sorry, everybody's season's going to end, but we're going to keep playing. Go.
That is Carl Gerbschmidt. Better late than